Hi everyone, welcome back to another session of ADEX Pixel 360 Virtual Expo. So for today's session on animal behavior, I'm very happy to introduce shark expert David Mcguire. So before we dive into his wonderful presentation on the behaviors of shark, allow me to quickly introduce him. So David Mcguire is the founder and director of the shark and marine conservation nonprofit Stewards. He is the adjunct professor at the University of San Francisco, where he teaches marine policy, and a research associate at the California Academy of Sciences, where he conducts shark research studies. So David has also written 2 books and several articles on shark and ocean adventure, and produced award-winning documentaries on shark conservation. So now I'll pass it over to David here to share his amazing knowledge on sharks. So hi, David, how are you today?
Hi, great to be with you. Hello, everyone out there in Singapore, at ADEX, and on Facebook. I'm broadcasting here. It's about 10 o'clock in San Francisco, California, and I'm happy to be with you. And I hope that we will join you again at the dive show in fall, or at least in 2023. And I hope all of you divers are healthy and getting out into the ocean. So if I may, I'll just share my screen and give a brief presentation. I recognize that I'm in the behavior block, so I'll talk a little bit about shark behavior, but really I'm a shark conservationist. I am a marine biologist, but I run a nonprofit called Shark Stewards. I'm the director since 2016. We're based in Berkeley, California, across from UC Berkeley, where I worked and went to school and still am involved with. And our policy, our work is directed towards policy, but we use education, science, and try to inspire conservation policy through change and human actions, either through advocacy or legislation or direct action. So it's wonderful to be with you, at least virtually. It's not my first talk or panel with ADEX. It's a wonderful platform. And I really want to thank everybody at ADEX Pixel for working so hard through the pandemic and keeping us together. All of us divers, how much we long to be together underwater, exploring and diving with coral and fish, but especially the sharks. So I'm a marine biologist by training. I'm a writer and a photographer, but most of all, I am an ocean conservationist. So I titled tonight's talk, Sharks, Divers, and Ocean Change, because I really think those three go together. I think we as divers can make the most significant impact upon the health of the ocean than just about any other demographic group. We're closer to it, we're in it, we're under it, we're close to them. And many of us have seen the change in the ocean's health and populations of big fish, populations of sharks, populations of other invertebrates, but particularly, this is a great symbol here where I am in Northern California, white sharks. Sharks can also be a symbol of promise and hope and ocean health. And so that's a little bit what I want to talk about some of the sharks that I dive with and work with, but try to apply that experience and passion as a scuba diver, as a researcher at the California Academy of Sciences in San Francisco, and as a National Geographic explorer and filmmaker, and applying all of those experiences and passions towards ocean conservation. Because I've seen the ocean change in my life. I'm an ocean voyager. I've crossed every ocean under sail except for the Arctic. And in my early years, I had the incredible experience of diving in areas that were some of the most remote, some of the healthiest, some of the most wonderful places on the planet. And then having returned 10 or 20 or 30 years later, seeing those shark populations or reefs decline. And so along the way, I became a storyteller and a filmmaker. And I met some friends at the United Nations, actually, Cynthia Ong of Leap Spiral in Malaysia, Simon Christopher now at Blue Hope. And we started talking about the Coral Triangle. And I had the benefit as an Academy Associate to make a film called Reefs to Rainforests on the biodiversity of the Coral Triangle, primarily around the Philippines. So this is the Coral Triangle, primarily in the area bounded by the Philippines to the north and the South China Sea, Malaysia and Indonesia. In the Indian Ocean, the Timor Sea down by Timor-Leste separating northern Australia, and then Papua New Guinea and Solomon Islands over in the Pacific Ocean. So this area is...
David, sorry.
Yes.
I hate to interrupt, but I believe you are not sharing your screen. The
Oh my gosh.
presentation is not up. Yeah.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
I thought that was it. Thanks for...
Yes, that's right.
Can you see now 8X Expo 2022?
Yep, it's up.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
No, it's
okay, so I'll just... It looked fine to me. So, so we just talked about who I am and what I do and where I come from and the Coral Triangle. So thank you. So back to the Coral Triangle. This is the area bounded by these countries that encompass an area around the size of Australia or continental US. It has 76% of the world's corals, over 6,000 species of reef fish, 3,000 species of corals. It has more species of marine life and life in general than any place in the world. It is truly the Amazon of the oceans. It is the most biodiverse place on the planet. And I had the benefit of first going there in the mid-2000s with the California Academy of Sciences, diving along the Verde Island Passage. And we made a film called Reefs to Rainforests. We discovered 300 new species of invertebrates, including a deep sea species of swell shark. But the most tragic and most evident impression was the sharks are gone, the reef is not healthy, there's a lot of plastic, and something has to happen here. The scientists are converging and describing all these new species, working with the University of the Philippines and Philippine Natural History Museum, yet these species are declining dramatically. I'd mentioned earlier meeting my friends Cynthia Ong and Simon Christopher and getting invited down to Malaysia. And those are my first visits into Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore, and diving along Borneo and working with Scuba Zoo, which is a documentary film and photography film company who donated a lot of these images. Diving on Sipadan, which is a marine protected area, has the highest concentration of large fish, particularly sharks also in that region of Borneo, and really one of the highest concentrations in the whole Coral Triangle. Not coincidentally, those large fish also beget other large fish. Since it is a no fishing zone, the coral is healthier. There are more intact trophic levels. Many species of bony fish, frogfish, pipefish, sea snakes, nudibranchs, flamboyant cuttlefish. 6 of the 7 sea turtles live in the Coral Triangle. And when you have a truly protected area where there's no fishing and you have these apex predators supported by dive tourism, you also see a benthic habitat like this that has hundreds of species of coral and 100% coverage on the bottom habitat of soft corals, sponges, and stony corals. In addition to endangered or rare sharks like the hammerhead sharks, thresher sharks, and the increasingly rare bamboo shark or zebra shark, which you guys call it. So these sharks are in these protected areas, but they're increasingly disappearing anywhere outside of the no protected zones, including the magnificent mobulas, the manta rays, the reef mantas, the devil rays, and the eagle rays that are also declining rapidly because of bycatch, but also because of their coveted for their gills for traditional Chinese medicine. So there's this confluence of impacts between human population growth, demand for exotic wildlife parts from shark fin to gill rakers, and also other impacts such as fish bombing and habitat destruction. But there is a great hope, and that is in scuba diving. Scuba diving brings many benefits to ocean health. It brings a direct economic benefit to local economies where people might be fishing They now become dive masters or dive instructors or boat operators or all of the other associated services that we as divers support. Photographers, there's taxi drivers, the people who make your meals. All of those jobs are supported by our money as scuba divers, and that also increases regulation, increases enforcement, and it increases the health of those areas that we all want to come and dive. And this is a great mission if we want to protect sharks and other endangered species, is to support dive education, support proper diving, help increase marine protected areas, and help share the word around the world, particularly in China, where there are many new divers, that these animals and plants and invertebrates are more important alive than they are in a bowl of soup or on a plate. And we are seeing that increasingly, at least in Western China, where we have a chapter in Shenzhen, and it's particularly in Southeast Asia, where young people are diving more and becoming more aware. Sharks are increasingly threatened. Anywhere between 73 and 100 million sharks and rays are killed a year, primarily for the wildlife trade. One study that was published during COVID indicates 71% of large sharks and rays have disappeared. And increasingly around the world, we're losing habitat, particularly coral reef habitat, like the Great Barrier Reef and the areas around Indonesia, the Philippines, and Malaysia. And over 1/3 of sharks and rays are threatened with extinction. We're even seeing the large, magnificent guitarfish, which is a species of ray, disappearing. These are a CITES protected species, but because of the value of their gills for medicine, are being hunted despite international trade protections. Singapore is number 3 in the global shark fin trade. It went down around 2017, got surpassed by Malaysia, not only by local consumption, but also import-export, primarily to China. So although Hong Kong trade has declined, it has increased significantly, and it's a global trade that's worth over $1 billion. It has declined also during COVID, but we've seen increasing harvesting of sharks for sustenance fisheries, but also because of protected areas are being fished. We're seeing extinction of species at an alarming rate. This is a coral triangle species related to the Borneo shark. It's called Carcurinous Obsoleris. It's a kind of bottom shark, a requiem shark that is really wonderful to see. If you can see these sharks along with the river sharks, like the Borneo shark or the Pondicherry shark, the Gandhi shark, these sharks are disappearing to the point where they're almost completely gone, like this species that was declared extinct. These sharks, like humans, need areas to roam. We need areas that have healthy habitat for our own health. And yet, with 71% of our planet's surface, 90% of the habitable space of life on our planet, most of it is unexplored and very little is protected. Less than 4% is fully protected from fishing. So if we want to protect human health, we need to protect ocean health, and that includes the whole ecosystem. So this was about behavior, so I'm going to talk a little bit about sharks. I am a conservationist, but we try to apply science as well as experience. So I had the fortune during COVID to shift our focus from working with our partners at track.org on Pom Pom Island in Borneo and Malaysia, and also source.org on Lombok in Indonesia, supporting their conservation and education efforts, mapping shark populations, and trying to increase shark protection, to Hawaii, where sharks are almost completely protected. Hawaii, of course, in the Central Pacific, as a U.S. territory, U.S. state. It has one of the largest marine protected areas in the Pacific, called the Papahanaumokuakea Marine National Monument. It's a breeding area and feeding area for tiger sharks, which are protected in Hawaii. This population is doing very well. And we're seeing these sharks move down to the main Hawaiian Islands, where there's large human inhabitation, but also diving. And so the highest amount of human-shark interactions, and sometimes shark attacks or sometimes fatalities to sharks, are from this species, the tiger shark, which can be aggressive. It is a tropical species. It also lives in parts of the coral triangle. It's eaten as food, but primarily it's coveted for its fins. It is an ecosystem regulator, but surprisingly, it is also impacts climate change. So there have been several studies that have come out about these sharks that are migratory, that cover large areas and then come to an area like this reef off of Kona, where almost every dive, my friends and I have been seeing this aggregation of primarily female tiger sharks. They're not aggressive. Sometimes they're curious, but they come to this area. We think they're gestating from. They're coming down from the Northwest Hawaiian Islands, the protected area where they're feeding on seals and sea turtles and large fish, and they come down to the main islands in Hawaii to gestate and give birth. We don't know where they give birth yet. We know that they're migrating, but we don't know these hot spots of the birthing zones. We're seeing some entrainment in fisheries, but we were able to participate in a new law that bans not only the commercial fishing of all sharks in Hawaii, but also recreational impacts. So we would like to see this in other parts of the world where people who are fishing for sport or fishing commercially, usually secondarily because of the value of the fins, trying to regulate them so they don't kill sharks, because we're seeing a change in their behavior as climate change is impacting not only our ecosystems and our weather, our climate, it's impacting sea surface temperatures. So this is a paper that was just published by Dr. Neil Hammerschlag of University of Florida, showing a sea surface temperature change between 1980 and 2018 from left to right. You see a movement of sharks concomitantly or correspondingly moving north, farther north than they'd ever been recorded historically through catch records. So we're seeing a shift in shark movements, which also has an impact on their prey species. It also leaves behind what may be important ecosystems that they are no longer the regulator of, like coral reefs in the south in this case. There was a study in Western Australia in Sharks Bay that indicated sharks actually can offset the impacts of grazers by actually just changing their behavior, distributing them, and so that they are not completely denuding or destroying these seagrass meadows. And as apex predators, they're moving, in this case, the dugongs or the sea cows around, the sea turtles around, which are herbivores or grazers. They eat this photosynthetic grass called seagrass. It's a carbon fixer. Even though it is far less than 1% of the ocean, it is a carbon sink for over 10% of the global carbon. So that means sharks maintaining these ecosystems and these seagrass in intact, healthy systems. And they're not eating all the dugongs. They're not eating all the sea turtles. They're just causing them to move around so that, like deer that would eat an area, or cows, if a wolf comes along, they're going to move really quickly. So that means that they're not going to completely destroy the root system, and it's going to maintain the health of that system. So if you save a shark, it may just be offsetting climate change. And that's going to make a big impact on all of us. Climate change is something that is undeniable. It's affecting our global food sources, affecting species movements. By having these large apex predators in these abundant systems with chlorophyll, also like coral reefs, it maintains that carbon sink, but they themselves, by not fishing them, also serve as a carbon sink. So like we pay when we go flying to Singapore, we can pay a little extra money to offset carbon by planting trees or investing in forests. By investing in sharks, we can offset carbon impacts. So saving sharks and their ecosystems might just help us mitigate these serious impacts on our planet that are happening now and will happen in the future. Also, restoration is serious impact or serious mitigating factor, increasing seagrass beds, which is one of our major goals here in the San Francisco Bay, but also by protecting large fish like sharks, tuna, and whales. When they die, they sink to the bottom, fixing carbon instead of harvesting them and actually reintroducing that carbon into the atmosphere. Sharks act as apex predators in many cases, like this hammerhead shark on a coral reef, impacting and feeding on reef sharks, which are mesopredators, maintaining the balance and the level of that trophic level, which in turn eats the tertiary predators, which eat the herbivores, sometimes the lionfish, and sometimes the benthic fish. So what it does is by having an intact ecosystem, you have a system that has all its components, meaning it is in balance. If you remove the apex predator, you have what's called a trophic cascade, all the way down to the herbivores, which get eaten by the secondary, tertiary trophic predators. And in turn, they don't eat the algae overgrows, the algae dies. You have a reef with less diversity and less abundance. So by protecting apex predators and the benthic species like rays and the guitarfish, you actually have a top-down effect and a bottom-up effect that actually can maintain not only more fish that can be fished outside the protected area, but also more biological diversity. So arguably, sharks are among the most important animal to protect in the ocean because of the effects that they have, not only on their ecosystems, but the ecosystem services that sharks provide. Because truly, sharks are really one of the most amazing animals to behold as a diver. The socioeconomic benefits of shark diving is reaching $1 billion a year globally. We did a socioeconomic study with the Sabah Shark Protection Association in Malaysia that estimated a reef shark was worth $815,000 to the local economy through dive services. Palau, in a study done by the Australian Institute of Marine Sciences over 15 years ago, estimated value of a reef shark in its lifetime was $1.9 million to the local economy, as opposed to $100 for a set of shark fins. So we know that sharks are worth more alive for many reasons than in a bowl of soup. So we have a lot of work cut out for us in education, communicating the importance, communicating that some animals are better left in the wild than they are being harvested. And one way we do that is through film. So I'm part of the International Ocean Film Festival based in San Francisco. We are a traveling festival. We'd hope to be in Shenzhen by 2020, but of course, COVID deterred us from that. We hope to bring it to Singapore and other areas in Southeast Asia. Shark Stewards, we produce media in Chinese, targeted primarily at young Chinese who want to go diving, also people who may want to eat shark fin soup or other unsustainable fish, but also to communicate the glory and the beauty of the ocean through story. Because we as divers, as photographers, as storytellers, as writers, have the power to communicate what we can experience firsthand. I was fortunate enough to be able to produce a 2-part series with Scuba Zoo, Alice in Borneo's Wonderland. We premiered it in our Ocean Film Festival. It's translated into Chinese. It's shown in China. It's on our YouTube channel if you want to watch it. And it was in film festivals also in Southeast Asia. This film is about a young Chinese woman, Alice Zhou, who learns how to scuba dive at 16, and it transforms her to become a marine biologist and an advocate for shark conservation. We went on to support, she's Canadian Chinese, to enact the first major shark fin ban globally by a large nation, in this case, Canada. The UK has followed and the US is on its way. For 12 years, we've been working to support a total ban of trade and sale of shark fins, import exports. It's passed through our House, it's passed through our Senate, and we have great confidence with this president. We will be the 3rd large nation to ban the sale and trade of shark fins And we want to come to Southeast Asia after COVID passes. Hopefully we'll be there this year to educate, to work with youth, to inspire, because Malaysia and Singapore are major hubs and consumers of this dish. We are also working with young people, but also volunteer divers or community science divers here in Kona, looking at manta rays, taking photographs of their patterns because they have a distinct pattern, but using also algorithms that look at their spots, in this case, whale sharks with a company called WildMe, but also the tiger shark stripes. In taking photographs, running them through this database, and quickly being able to identify species. Our goal is to be able to share this software, to share new hardware, to make it fundable or even completely free so that community divers or citizen scientists throughout the world, particularly in areas like the Philippines or areas that may not have as much economic advantages as the rest of us, to get a GoPro, to be able to access online and to help identify individuals that will give scientists information on where the sharks are, where they show up, when they leave, when they come back, how many males or females, a wealth of information that can be provided just by a whale shark spots. We also employ volunteer divers. We'd love to do a Great Asia dive-in to identify and do a shark count. Here in California, we look at our marine protected areas because fortunately, we've protected over 25% of our oceans, waters in our state in these marine protected areas. Now we're using divers to take photographs underwater, put them into this database so that we can monitor the benefits of marine protected areas on fish and habitat over time. But also it's a great way to dive and a fun way to learn species. So this can happen anywhere in the world using this free app called iNaturalist and just getting in the water and taking a photo and putting in the database. We also have a new program called Shark Watch. We'd love to see this go global. It's now in California looking at sharks in the water, sharks that people are catching, sharks that people are posting on social media, and sharks that people are killing to get an idea of shark movements in California. So if you are in California and hopefully down the line, you'll be able to download this QR code, go to our survey, go to an education, download a science sheet, but also be able to participate in a community science shark survey. Because we know from this pandemic, we know from this great ocean that we are all connected. And one thing that I am impressed upon, but through my travels, but also through these young people that I dive with, that I've met, that I've been able to help teach diving in Malaysia, at Track, at Source. My friend Darcy Liu in China, who's a great Chinese surfer diver advocate, is that the ocean connects us all. We all love it, and we all depend upon it for our health. So we can't point fingers at one another. We need to work together to offset climate change, to stop overfishing sharks that are causing this terrible cascade of ocean health that's ultimately going to increase disease in humans. So as divers, we have the opportunity and the wherewithal to support conservation. This is a study that was done in 2019. I had the good fortune to work in Timor-Leste with divers to help support a Hope Spot designation with Mission Blue. I showed this to the Prime Minister, a new study by the Coral Triangle Sustainable Nature Tourism Project, the value of dive tourism or nature-based adventure tourism. So potentially billions of dollars up into 2035 from about 2020. So the value to local economies far surpasses fishing. So we as tourists, we as divers can support conservation. So thanks for listening. Dive in and let's save sharks together. I hope to see you at 8X Live in 2020, if not 2020, or 2022, if not 2023. I want to thank our foundation, Earth Island Institute, National Geographic, Cal Academy, Lush, Patagonia, my sponsors, and also all of our Asian partners here, and especially 8X Pixel Virtual Expo. Thanks very much.
Yay. Thank you, David. That was such an interesting presentation. Since time is sort of running out, I just have one question to ask you. So you've mentioned like several groundbreaking projects and initiatives towards shark conservation, especially with AI technology. What are the future plans for shark conservation efforts by shark stewards, or even personal projects that you wish to take on?
Well, the Marine Megafauna AI is a really exciting project. And we're bringing students to Mexico, Socorro Island, which is a marine protected area, world famous diving area with a lot of whales, hammerhead sharks, manta rays. And we're going to test the new hardware that's being supported at UC Berkeley by students, but also this WildMe software. So we're kind of more or less beta testing the software. We want to bring it east, or we definitely want to bring it to the east. We want to bring it west from California to the Coral Triangle. I'm also hoping that we can share at 8X next time that the United States has passed the shark fin trade ban. It's been in 4 different Congresses. It's been shot down under 3 different congressional administrations, and now it's at its 4th. It's passed both houses. We have a president who is supportive of not only climate change, reducing climate change, but also protecting our global fisheries. So we are in all confidence that that and other bills that we are working on in Hawaii will pass. And hoping to go from more US-based efforts to a global effort, as we were doing since around 2015.
Yeah.
So I really hope to get back there, go diving, meet new friends, and work together to protect the Coral Triangle and sharks.
That's great. That's great. Well, we would love to see you at the 8X show in September this year. And for our viewers, if you guys have any questions, you can just drop them in the comments below and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you once again, David, for joining us today. And it was a really interesting session. We will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having us. Bye. See you at sharkstewards.org.